The city of Johannesburg is teetering on the edge of financial collapse. National Treasury has threatened to pull critical grant funding, money used for roads, water, and electricity, after the city recorded a staggering 24.4 billion rand in unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. The letter from Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana to Mayor Dada Morero is damning, citing no investigations, no recovery efforts, and no consequence management. With over 221 billion rand in infrastructure backlogs and basic services already crumbling, this may be the city's gravest financial crisis yet. Joining us is Julius Kleinhans, who is Executive Manager for Local Government at Outa, to unpack how Johannesburg got here and if there's a way out. Julius, thank you very much for your time. I love the idea of understanding how the city of Joburg got here, because it seemed that we were just living our lives, and from one day to another we found it just so deteriorated, and what we can do to get out of it. Thank you for your time.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's start with Outa's view. How did the city of Joburg get here?
Look, this has been under the oversight of provincial government and national government over a decade. There's a lack of consequence management, which has really been the root cause of the problem. This didn't happen overnight. So I think the escalation and the snowball effect that we are realizing now, the dire situation that city of Johannesburg is in, has happened over quite a period of time. We've seen the water services breakdowns. People have realized and felt it themselves. And unfortunately, I don't see a way out under the current mayoral system and also the current administration in the city. So we really need to be serious about change, and I'm yet to see that government is acting on this. We've seen the minister starting the process now from a national government point of view, but one also has to understand the politics at play, and I think the politics has really ruined the city as we know it.
Speaking of politics, Minister Godongwana points out that some of the losses were simply marked as irrecoverable without any sort of investigation. So, I mean, that is a very red flag. Tell me a little bit more about it. Is it one or two that stand out? Or is this business as usual? Was this pre-Dada Morero, or has this just begun?
Yeah, no doubt that one has to understand there's various players that have benefited from this. Now, the report specifically speaks about the 2023 to 24 financial year. Last year and this year, currently, there are irregular expenditure taking place and unauthorized contracts being allocated. So the coalition government, I think, has been playing a big role in it. The changes in mayors and city managers have signed off on a lot of decisions that we made to allocate funds to specific contractors. And sadly, the city or the residents and the businesses are feeling the brunt of it. As an example, we're talking about R1 billion of irregular expenditure within the city, where councillors or administration have been involved in assigning contracts to people who they benefit from. And then you get other matters like fruitless and wasteful expenditure, what they're talking about, 700 million rand, that has no doubt not given any benefit to the city at all. So one has to understand that every time a mayor comes in, all of a sudden the whole administration comes to a standstill. So they're not implementing the action plans or the strategies of the city. They're implementing the political plans or strategies. And that is the failure of our municipalities. And I think when listeners apply their minds to this, there's no ideology in a municipality. It's supposed to provide basic services. That's where economy can grow from. So there shouldn't be any political agendas in it. And I think that's where we're falling short. The non-performance that's been taking place in the city over this period of time has just been relentless, and there's been no one who has been held to account. And in the current state, we're talking about a report now of 2 years ago, but currently we're seeing a bomb squad as an example coming in by the mayor. But what about the people who are getting paid massive salaries, the leadership, the current leadership? Why must they be supplemented by a bomb squad? Why don't you take on the root causes of the problem? And I think the corruption and the maladministration runs so deep that a lot of the players won't be touched, and they will definitely defend each other for as long as they can. So I think come the next local elections, that's when the residents and businesses will have the opportunity to vote for change. But I just want to mention lastly, there's the politics at play as well. If you look at the current coalition government and you look at Mayor Dada Morero and Panyasa Lesufi, the premier, usually when a city fails or municipality fails to provide proper financials, they are being placed under administration. Now, we haven't seen that happening with the city of Johannesburg. But I do believe that there are some flags coming up that President Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to put some measures in place to save the city against the faction within the ANC itself. Now, I'm not a political analyst, but you can start seeing the political power plays taking place. And I think that's at the expense of the people once again. So it's very important that communities start getting better organized, and on top of this, to provide better council oversight and oversight on the municipality to ensure that they get the services they deserve.
Absolutely. And when you look around, I think on a very, very high level, people aren't talking about the municipality. We're talking about making it, surviving it, just being able to make it through. And so the funding that's out of threat from Treasury covers essential infrastructure. If money is pulled, that real impact on daily life will be what, Julius?
Absolutely. And, I think I'm very curious to see the amount of money and subsidizations that Treasury has paid to the city of Johannesburg, what real fruit it has paid over the last decade, because the money's been pumping in. 2 years ago, we saw that the city didn't use R1 billion in infrastructure. The infrastructure has deteriorated on a weekly basis. People can actually feel it and sense how the city is moving backwards. We've seen a lot of people and businesses pack up and migrating to other communities or municipalities where services are sustainable at the expense of the people. And I think that is really what's quite dire. So it's a very drastic measure for Treasury to say, listen, we're going to pull these funds back. But evidently, I do believe that they are questioning where the funds has gone, because they cannot see it, they cannot feel it. And a G20 summit cannot be the reason for all of a sudden beautifying a city, and that is putting plasters on the wounds. We need to see how the root causes of these infections are treated over time, so that you can actually heal the city and make it prosperous.
I'm curious about your word selection. I mean, you're talking about heal the city. We're not talking about fixing the financial books. There's something about the city that's very important to you, or is it you having compassion for those who live in the city and understand what it's like underneath this beautiful man-made forest, living on the streets of the city? It's a different thing altogether.
I engage with people who have lived in Joburg for about 30, 40 years on a regular basis. And the passion The people love the city, the history there, where it was in apartheid era, and where it is, where it can be now. I don't want to say where it is now, because it really started evolving in the new South Africa. It's the economic hub of South Africa. If people flock to the city for opportunities and jobs, it's still the richest square mile in Africa. If you look at Sandton and those spaces, Soweto and Alex, the opportunities, and we haven't unlocked the potential yet. And I think a lot of people, you can start seeing it on a community level, are starting to adopt sidewalks. They're starting to, the community building is starting to prosper. We're starting to see people taking hands and building a future within these spaces. That's where they live. That's where their schools go. Their kids go to school. Those who are fortunate enough, that's where they have work, where they can earn a living and just a dignity. And I think there's so much more potential. What we've seen, unfortunately, over time is that the inner city has been left behind whilst new areas have been developed because of a lack of proper maintenance and intervention from municipal and city council. And I think as soon as we can turn that tide, it can be restored to the integrity of an economic hub of the country, but also evolve into most probably the most attractive economic hub in Africa. And I think there's a lot of people in the city as well, good people who are so hungry for leadership. So hopefully we will start seeing a change post next year's elections that can start, moving or steering the ship in the right direction. But we do know that there is no sustainability in putting Joburg Metro Police officers at traffic lights to divert traffic in the morning, or having businesses intervene once a year on Nelson Mandela Day to clean the curbs and upgrading an area. We need to see the funds that's received by the City of Johannesburg, by hardworking residents and businesses, being reinvested and creating the integrity and that future that we all long for.
Yeah, and we do all yearn for it. We've come to Joburg as the Joburg of gold, Gauteng, city of gold, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Coming here to make your mark, build your business, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. But with so many deficits and so much that's been left to crumble, it's now impossible even just to have a job, let alone build an empire. And so next step, I suppose, as Outa, you'd like to see the city or national treasury stop the bleeding.
It's going to be very interesting because we hope that gives the political power the shake-up it needs. We're questioning even just a free basic service allocation of, last year was about 7.2 billion rand, which is supposed to subsidize marginalized communities for electricity, water, and waste removal. The municipal entities like Johannesburg Water and City Power don't get those funds. So we have to question the very funds who are supposed to help the people, how that is managed.
Yeah.
There's no proof that it's getting to the people, and then those people are being victimized as criminals because it's a debt collection and things that need to take place. So we want to see that show of power. We do believe that that's part of the presidential intervention. There are the presidential working groups that's been established, which is definitely bearing fruit. But we do know that if there's not a significant change in leadership, accountable, transparent leadership, that we won't see lasting change. And that's really what we're hoping for. And the last thing I think is just that the municipal systems and processes, the billing issues, it's significant.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for as long as you don't fix those systems, you're also not going to generate the revenue that needs to come through. And it will continue escalating into fruitless and wasteful expenditure because the city's approach when they bill someone incorrectly is to go switch off the electricity and water, and then some of these companies and people need to go to court to stop them. And even though the city is wrong, they relentlessly try to fight to prove that they are right. And that ends up in fruitless litigation. So we hope that some of these elements that the city manager in his personal capacity will start having to pay some of the bills so that we can start seeing a change in that as well. Because there's no use. We have a city with the approach that, listen, fight me if you want. I'm just going to use your own funds to fight you back.
Yeah.
And the other element to it is because we fail in managing the city properly, we're just going to bill you more. So we see the taxes, the tariffs going up every year, but the service is deteriorating.
We'll have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Outa weighing in on Joburg's 24.4 billion financial meltdown. That was the voice of Julius Kleinhans, Executive Manager for Local Government at Outa.